All right, good morning, guys. This is 7.5 rational exponents and radicals. So in the past, we've learned that 5 squared equals 25. And also in the past, you guys learned that if you had 25 raised to the 1/2 power, it would take two numbers to get to 25, and they'd have to be the same numbers. And that number would be 5 times 5. So your answer is 5. And also in the past, you've seen before that if you take the square root of 25, you'd say what times what gives you 25, and that answer is 5 as well. So if you compare these two things, they both give you an answer of 5, right? So they must be related somehow. 25 has, the square root of 25, has an index number of 2 right here. So this is the same thing as the square root of 25 is the same thing as 25 raised to the 1/2 power. Because the power on the 25 is a 1, the index number is the 2, and there we go. And that leads us to our next page here, guys. And this is what I'd want you to put in your notes here. Let's say you had, and I'll put it in blue for right now, guys. Let's say you had x, and then you have an A here and a B here. This is the same thing as x. The A would go on top and the B would go on the bottom. Okay, and this is extremely important here. I'd put this on actually the left side of your notes, and we'll use that to do these first two problems. So make sure you put the directions for these. And what we want to do is we want to, what is a simplified form of each expression? That 125 is raised to the first power. So we'd have 125. The 1 would be on top. Your index number would go on bottom. And this is something we've seen before. What number times itself 3 times equals 125. And that answer is 5. For the next one here, there's a little exponent on the 16, and that has the number of 1. So you'd have 16 raised to the 1/4 power, and your final answer for this one would be 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. All right, so a couple more practice problems here. This would be 27 raised to the 1/3 power. That final answer would be 3. 32 raised to the 1/5 power. That answer is 2. 64 raised to the 1/3 power. Answer for that one would be 4. And the last one here, 36 raised to the 1/2 power. That final answer would be 6. Okay, and this is what I was getting at a little bit ago, guys. And this is the same thing, but in reverse order. Let's say you had a to the m over n power. If you want to put it in radical form, what you would do is you'd make a square root, put your base in the inside. The number on top, the m, would go as your power. The n would go as your index number. So this is the next thing that goes into your notes, but put it on the left-hand side. And this is putting it as a radical. Okay, guys, so here's the first one that goes in your notes with it. I start off with a little tougher one here. What you want to do is first recognize that you have two different things. You have 12 raised to the first power, and then you have an a raised to the 2/3 power. All right, now the 12 raised to the first power, there is no simplifying. That's just the number 12. But the a raised to the 2/3 power in radical form, and that is really the key here, radical form, you have yourself a square root with your base of a in the inside. The 2 goes up. The 3 is your index number. Now, the 12, that just is out front of the number right here. So your final answer would be 12, and then you'd have a squared inside and then the cubed root of 3. Okay, what is this exponential expression in radical form? In radical form, a is your base. It's hard to read these numbers here, but I believe the top number is a 5 and the bottom number is a 6. So 5 would go here, the 6 would go here, and that'd be your final answer. On this next one, the 5 has its very own power of 1, and the x has its power of 1/3. So because the 5 has a power of 1, that's just done. You don't have to worry about that. But the x does go inside the square root. The x has a power of 1. The index number is 3. Now put the 5 out front, and there's your final answer. Now we're going to go in exponential form, and it just gets a little bit harder here as we go. So please put this one in and this one in. Now in exponential form, we get rid of the radical, so we're just going to have b. The number on top is 3, and the index number goes on bottom, and there's your final answer, b raised to the 3/5 power. Okay, now B is a little tricky here. What you want to do first is everything that's inside that square root, you want to isolate. The 27 has a power of 1, d5. Okay, now they both are in the square root, or cubed root, because there's a 3, they're cubed root. So in other words, you put a 3 on the bottom of both those, because that's your index number. Now the 27 raised to the 1/3 power, that is actually a nice number here. What times what times what gives you 27? That answers 3. And then you'd have d raised to the 5/3. And that is in exponential form because you have exponents. Okay, so letter A, putting them in exponential form, we'd have s. The 2 goes up, the index number goes beneath it. Pretty good one with letter B here. The 12 has its own power of 1. The x is raised to the 4th power, and the index number is 3. And then that's just your final answer, 12x raised to the 4/3 power. All right. Hey, letter C, a little trickier. So you see we have a product to a power inside that big square root. So product to a power, we distribute the 5 to the 4 first, and then 5 to the letter y. And then our index number is 2 if there isn't one. So the index number always goes on the bottom of the fraction. So we have 5/2 and 5/2. And then the letter's going to be done. The y is all done. But the 4, we can work with that. So if you cover up the 5 and you're looking at the 2 right now, say what times what gives you 4? And that answer is 2. So we'd have 2 raised to the 5th power. We'd still bring this down. And 2 to the 5th power is 16. Nope, no, 32. 32. Y raised to the 5/2 power. Okay. And let's go, nope, I'm going to skip this. Yeah, and this is what the homework assignment looks like for today, guys. Just a real quick recap here. Let's see here. This is in radical form. If you put it in exponential form, there's a little 2 here as an index number if you don't see one. So its final answer is going to be x to the 1st power over 2. Right now, this is in exponential form. If you want to put it in radical form, c goes in the inside, raise it to the 1st power, 5 goes on the outside. All right, let's do number 7 here. Right now, this is in radical form. Let's put it in exponential form. 16 is got to the 1st power, y to the 3rd power. All right, our index number is 4, so place that on the bottom for both of them. What times what times what gives you 16 4 times, and that's 2. Oops, and then just bring down the y to the 3/4. Right. All right, guys, that is it for the day. Good luck, and have a great day.